KCBS News Time, 7:32.
Stan, Texas's ban on sanctuary cities will face its first legal challenge today in federal court. The law allows police to ask people about their immigration status during routine stops. Several major Texas cities are asking the judge to declare it unconstitutional and block it from going into effect in September. For more now, we're joined live on the KCBS 8x8 Newsline by Eric Cedillo, Texas immigration attorney and adjunct professor of law at SMU. Professor Cedillo, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So where is this? How is this going to shake out? What will the arguments be made to prevent this ban on sanctuary cities?
Well, actually, this morning it's a request for a temporary injunction, meaning they want to stop the actual law from taking effect in September 1st. So this is actually, they've got a couple of requirements, which include the probability of winning, irreparable harm, things of that nature. So this will be the first time where we hear the arguments regarding what is to be the plaintiff's position, which is that this law is unconstitutional. Basically, they believe that it violates the 10th Amendment and that it forces the localities, the municipalities, to adhere to immigration law, even though it's being, basically enforced by the state. Some other possible or problematic provisions, of course, are the papers, please portion that you mentioned, in terms of allowing for law enforcement to ask that question. Now, that's been vetted by the Supreme Court, and that may not be problematic, except for its implementation. If it, has racial profiling components to it, then that could be problematic.
So is this the first test nationwide of these sorts of sanctuary city declarations by cities?
Well, we had the Arizona case that went up, and of course, the problem with that was it violated the supremacy clause. Anything that touches upon immigration is federal, and the states cannot be forced to actually do the bidding or be conscribed to do the bidding of the federal government. And that's one of the arguments. Even though it's the state of Texas that is making the levy, the municipalities feel that they have a sovereign right to not have to do or be part of immigration law in terms of the practice. And there are some provisions in the actual law that do kind of create that immigration requirement, that basically the adhering to the ICE detainers, making local sheriffs adhere to these ICE detainers. It's always been a voluntary thing from the federal government so that it did not violate the 10th Amendment. So when the state does this, it is acting as an agent of the federal government, and that's the position that these municipalities are taking.
Is Texas's law significantly different from Arizona's Show Me Your Papers law?
Well, the Show Me Your Papers portion of it was vetted by the Supreme Court, and they actually came back and said that law enforcement can ask that question, but if they do it in a way that racially profiles, and of course that can be a violation of the Constitution. So the actual provision, which it really is a provision that stops police chiefs from creating policy that would say, police officers, you can't ask this question. I think that part of it is actually passes the constitutional muster. It's the way in which it's done that could be problematic.
We appreciate your time this morning. We've been talking regarding today's hearing in Texas on the state's sanctuary cities law ban. It's a statewide law that would ban any attempt to create a sanctuary city. And there will be a hearing today in federal court. Eric Cedillo, Texas immigration lawyer and an adjunct professor of law at Southern Methodist University.